Okay, so when you hear the phrase one God, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably that only one divine being exists. End of story. But what if I told you that the biblical authors meant something, well, something completely different and way more interesting? Let's get into it.
All right, this right here, this is the Shema. It's the absolute bedrock of biblical faith. For centuries, this has been the verse for monotheism. The Lord is one. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Well, here's where it gets complicated. The Bible is actually packed with references to other divine beings. We're talking heavenly councils, spiritual rulers, the whole shebang. So, what gives? How can God be one if the cosmos is, well, pretty crowded? That's the puzzle we're going to piece together today.
Now, the key that unlocks this whole thing, it turns out, is a single Hebrew word that we often get wrong. And that word is Elohim. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Elohim isn't a name. It's not like Bob or Jane. Think of it more like a category or a job title. It just refers to any being that belongs to the spiritual, non-human world. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. The Bible uses this term Elohim for a whole host of beings. Angels, yeah, but also members of God's divine council, the gods of other nations, and even the spirits of the dead. And, this is the most important part, it's also used for Yahweh himself. Yeah, he is an Elohim.
So with that little piece of information in our back pocket, let's go back to that famous verse, the Shema, and see how this new context just changes everything.
You see, the original Hebrew is what's called a verbalist clause. It doesn't even have a word for is. It's not trying to make some kind of mathematical statement like 1 plus 0 equals 1. No, it's a declaration of loyalty. It's answering the question, out of all the Elohim out there, who is our Elohim? So we tend to read it as a statement about numbers, 1. But a reading that's way more in tune with the ancient context sounds more like this. Yahweh is our Elohim. Yahweh is unique. It's about his status, not the census of the spiritual world. This sentence just nails it. It perfectly captures the idea. Yahweh belongs to the category of Elohim, sure, but he is in a class all by himself. There is no other Elohim that is even remotely like him. So here it is, the big aha moment. Our modern idea of monotheism, it's all about math. Numerical singularity, 1. That's it. But biblical monotheism, it's all about quality, about being completely incomparable. The Bible's main claim isn't that other spiritual beings don't exist, it's that none of them, not a single one, can hold a candle to Yahweh. And once you grasp that, all those weird passages in the Bible about a divine council or God talking to a heavenly assembly suddenly start to make perfect sense.
But hold on, you might be thinking, if God has a council of other divine beings around him, doesn't that kind of make him less powerful, less supreme?
No way. In fact, it's the total opposite. Think about it like this. Does a human king seem more powerful sitting all alone in an empty throne room or when he's presiding over a massive court of advisors, generals, and governors? Of course it's the latter. The court doesn't weaken his authority, it puts it on full display. And we see this exact dynamic in the Bible. Psalm 82 gives us this incredible dramatic scene where Yahweh literally stands up in the divine assembly and puts the other Elohim on trial for being corrupt. He's not their buddy, he's their supreme judge. Okay, so this also totally reframes how we should think about one of the Bible's biggest themes, the constant battle against idolatry. You see, the sin of idolatry wasn't about making a metaphysical mistake. Everybody in the ancient world believed other Elohim existed. That wasn't the issue. The crime, the real betrayal, was giving your allegiance and your worship to any of them besides Yahweh. It was breaking the covenant you had with the one, incomparable God who had rescued you. Now let's fast forward to the New Testament. This whole idea of God's absolute uniqueness, it doesn't go away. If anything, it gets even more intense and personal. So when Jesus comes onto the scene, the New Testament writers are walking this really careful line. They are not trying to say, hey, we found a second God to add to the list. That would completely violate the Shema. No, what they're saying is something way more radical. They're claiming that the one, unique, incomparable God of Israel has now been fully revealed and embodied in a human being. The total uniqueness of Yahweh is now visible in the face of Jesus Christ.
I think this quote just sums it up perfectly. Jesus isn't just another Elohim joining the council. He is the very thing that makes God unique, now walking among us in human flesh. So let's just end with this thought. If the central claim of the Bible isn't about simple math, but about the absolute, unrivaled, jaw-dropping uniqueness of God,
how does that shift the way you read the entire story, from Genesis all the way to Revelation? Because really, it changes everything.